Assembly's live, so come subscribe. Your soul's in trial or simply tired. Your soul medicine, it gets revived. The warrior line, soul tribe. Assembly's live, it's friendly vibes. Welcome to another edition of Warrior Line Podcast. It's another edition of Conversations with my friend Jennifer, and I'm Aaron. And we appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. We're building a channel. We're trying to grow the channel. We come here as a safe place, talking about a myriad of subjects, book reviews, movie reviews, things like that. Current events going on in the country right now. And we just appreciate if you like and share and tell a friend about what we're doing. Share it so they can listen to it and have input in any topic they want to consider. But we consider all topics a safe place where you can come in and we can share our thoughts with you. And today we're going to talk about some of my heart. I really appreciate Jennifer taking her time to really have this conversation with me about women in our society, women in our country. Women never seem to be, not seem to be in my opinion, never have been listened to. But before we get started, how you doing, Jennifer?
Excellent. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Well, again, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you taking your time from your family to have these conversations, because you always bring brilliant, intellectual, heartfelt input into these discussions that I believe that they're needed for the times in which we live. Today we're going to discuss, again, a topic of women. And I'm just going to open up with we were talking about a few minutes ago before we began recording, just how women in this society, and I'm talking about all women, not, particularly Black women, white women, Hispanic women, I'm talking about women in general, how during the founding of the country, women were always the side piece, if you will, or just outcast in society. And I've always fundamentally believed when we say that this country was founded as a democracy, founded on these great pillars and principles that we proclaim to the world. It's not true. It's a lie, because it's just a matter of historical record and evidence that, one, women could not participate in the political part of their society. They couldn't vote. They couldn't hold office. And obviously the slaves couldn't, enslaved people couldn't, but particularly women were not a part of this democracy for hundreds of years, so-called democracy, for 100 years after the fact. And it just continues to roll today of how, we're still one of the only major countries in the world that hadn't elected a woman as its head of state. We got one close, and one brilliant Vice President Kamala Harris rose to the vice presidency, but we still have not had a woman head of state. And so I just want to my baseline for me is, how much do we need? How much pain and suffering and just going back we need to finally in this country, as men and women in this country, understand that women should be held in high esteem, and they need to be put in the highest of offices. But most importantly, they need to be listened to, because if we had heeded the warnings of women, not just the last few years, but across this whole project called America, we would not be in the situation we are now. And so that's where my heart is, women. And I'm thankful that you're here to bring your aspect to it as a woman. That will we ever get to the place that women are not just tolerated, not just kept around, not just here, will they really? And we talked about great women on this program. Of course, we talked about Vice President Harris. We talked about Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett a couple of episodes, and that's great. But as a society, when I look out on the landscape, when I look on blue sky, when I look in the world, women are just still dejected and not listened to. Will we ever get to that point? I just like your opening thoughts on that.
From my perspective and lived experience, the inequality women face is more than just that. It's so I think there's a difference between the way white women are treated and Black women,
Right.
Asian women, and Latina women.
Okay.
But the most noticeable is between white women and Black women. If we look at the women's suffrage movement, Black women were a part of that in the 20s. And it was through their hard work and labor that it was even noticed. Just like today's protests. If Black people don't show up, the news cameras aren't showing up either.
Right.
So you have your Susan B. Anthony's and you have your Ida B. Wells in the women's suffrage movement. And white women were more than happy to use us to gain their right to vote and then shut the door behind them. And there are lots of examples of the terrible feminist relationship, if you even want to call it that, between white women and Black women, with white women being the two-faced, backstabbing users, and Black women really innocently doing all the work, leading the charge, doing all the organizing. And you see that today in our refusal to hit the streets, because a majority of white women voted for Trump 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
They abandoned us, threw us under the bus, and voted for Trump 3 times in a row. An adjudicated rapist, a known serial cheater, and also a very public racist, misogynist, and racist and misogynist put together when it comes to Black women. And then you look at the way the world treats women.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't an American thing. It's a global thing.
Great point.
So then we also want to look at transgendered women. These, by all accounts, are women. And any woman who has gone through menopause and takes hormone replacement therapy, you know that without those hormones, you do not function as a woman. So arguing that a man in a skirt is still a man, no, that's a woman who's taking hormones to change her body and also her mind into a woman. But she can't even have full agency in her gender. A man transitioning to a woman. That's crazy to me. And then we look at handicapped people. Handicapped women, let alone Black handicapped women, let alone minority handicapped women. And I don't even have to elaborate. You can already see the hierarchy structure, right?
Right.
Same thing with LGBTQ. Who's at the top of the food chain? And back to transgendered, who are the most victimized? Who are the ones who are routinely stalked and killed? It's always the Black ones.
Yeah.
It's primarily the Black ones. So I just want to start from that perspective, that the disrespect and the lack of seriousness that's granted to women, it's a big playing field, and it's on every level. You look at women in the military. A lot of those women were dismissed under the current administration for doing nothing wrong. They were just women. And these are women who've built their life in the military serving our country. They were unceremoniously discharged.
Yes.
So the formula is, it's not even patriarchy, because patriarchy is a tool of white supremacy. It really is misogyny. And a lot of people like to say, well, we've had women in political office. This is true. And how are they treated when they're in office?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
The argument that the reason Latinos did not vote for Kamala is because they didn't think she was qualified. Because look, Mexico has a woman president.
Yeah.
What does Mexico have to do with America? It has nothing to do with American politics. Mexicans in Mexico voted for a woman president. Mm-hmm. Mexicans in America did not. Mm-hmm. And that's the bigger conversation, right? Why? Yeah. Why is it this way?
That's right. I want to talk about something, and you can slap me down on it if you want to, because that's why I love you having you on here. If I'm wrong, it was just observation. I don't watch the legacy media, but I do see clips. I do see clips from certain people I like, and one person I generally like and respect pretty much, because he's pretty much on point, is Lawrence O'Donnell. Now, I think he reposted this clip, and I watched this clip, and I'm just going to make an observation of it. Now, this is surrounding the Epstein files. If you know anything about the Epstein file, you know he was the world's largest sex trafficker. And Ghislaine Maxwell is part of it. She's moved to a prison camp here in Texas, not too far from where I live now. And obviously, he had a relationship with Donald Trump. And so Epstein file is breaking news. And they had a press conference, and Lawrence had this guest on, and she was a white woman. And I'm not focused on what they talked about to just one point. Without even his prompting, they was having a discussion, going back and forth in that discussion, and then she said that she voted for the person in office now, and the look on his face told the story that he didn't even respond to it as far as that, because it wasn't about that. Because she brought it up without his prompting. She just said, and I voted for him. And I think he blinked about like, it was just so like, okay, what are we doing? And the point of the matter is, when we talk about white women to me, and I'm probably wrong because I'm not a woman, I can't speak as a woman, but you can, not a white woman, but you can speak as a black woman. White women, to me, when I look through our history and look at an example like that, wants to have it both ways. They seem to want to, as you eloquently said, benefit off the suffrage movement and the work of black women who, after the movement passed and won victory, they didn't get the right to vote. And then now in this situation, you want to be understood, and you should be, because it was wrong. But then you make a comment like that about a person that people know is so degenerate. And it's like you say it with a straight face. It's like almost like, and I'll probably do it again. It's like white women tend to seem to be, you want them both. When you're going through something, you want to be listening to, you want to be understood. In many cases, you are the victim, and it's not the victim's fault. But then you just make a comment like that, just like, well, yeah. And it's like, so do you really, what do you want? Because you seem to want it both ways. You seem to want to be, when it comes to the advocacy for, outside of this, the advocacy for black women. When I look at because I'm an evidence guy. When I look at the evidence of how they voted, Jennifer, they voted white women. The white women voted for Donald Trump greater rate than they voted for Kamala Harris. White women, and they seem, this group, this white women particularly, they seem to be wanting both ways, and that's just truly as old as the Republic. Because when they were slave owners, white women were vicious slave owners. If you ever read When They Were Her Property, that's a good book to read. They were vicious slaveholders. So it seems to me, the record indicates that you seem to want things both ways when it comes to your whiteness. My point in all this, your whiteness over trumps is greater than your womanhood in many cases. At least that's what the evidence suggests to me. So,
I had several people comment on a post that I posted about how I'm not going to abide anyone victimizing victims.
Right.
And I don't like when people punch down.
Right.
Okay. My perspective on this is a little different from yours. I removed a number of people, actually, who I screenshot one of them. It was really disappointing because she was a Black woman, and it's hard to find Black posters on social media, especially the ones who aren't really popular. I make it a point to seek out the ones who are not popular so that they can be linked to other people who are. And so I was really disappointed to read her comment. I blocked her. It wasn't even worth my time. Mm-hmm. As a survivor of abuse, and I want to preface this with, I don't know this woman. Mm-hmm. You don't know this woman. None mm-hmm. of us know this woman. Mm-hmm. All we know about her is that she was viciously raped.
Yeah.
As a child or a young teenager. That's all we know about this woman. So re-victimizing her is not something I'm going to participate in. Whether right. she's white, Black, Asian, I don't care. She's right. already a victim.
Oh, yeah.
She came forward to talk about her abuse. And while doing that, she said something that was really super important that majority of people didn't pick up on, because that's how unsophisticated we are when it comes to women who have been abused, which falls into the theme of this podcast. Mm-hmm. She very well could be a victim of abuse with Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is a coping mechanism that instead of feeling fear and terror and hatred, you sympathize with the person who hurt you. You sympathize with the person who abused you. Mm-hmm. That's very typical for women who stay in abusive marriages. You say you're doing it for the kids, but you're being proactively abused in front of your children, and you justify it, this irrational behavior, because mentally you're breaking. So that segment with Lawrence that I reposted onto my timeline was because I wanted to get a feel for what people's reactions would be in my circle. Because what I was seeing out there was people punching down. They were victimizing a victim. Mm-hmm. Now what I see, I don't know her. I don't know this woman from Adam. White women don't need me doing anything for them. I'm looking at this purely from the perspective of an abuse survivor. Mm-hmm. Her coming forward to speak on the abuse she endured is already triggering and traumatizing. Part of her mind may have told her that this is not safe. This is literally the president of the United States. You voted for him. Why did you vote for him? But that's a conversation for her to have with herself. It's not a conversation for us to judge and finger point and laugh at and judge her. She's entitled to one vote. So am I. So are you. Whatever her reason is her reason. She did an unforced error. She opened her mouth and said something that probably wasn't in her best benefit. She is also under extreme stress, because she just relived a horrific trauma that happened to her when she had no agency. She wasn't an adult. She couldn't advocate for herself. She couldn't fight for herself. So, I mean, people are people. They're going to think what they think. That's my perspective on it. I posted that, and then I later said that I'm not really into victim shaming because I kept seeing comments like that from my own circle. And I really thought we were more sophisticated than that.
That's why I believe people should comment on things like that, because because you see it happening all the time, where people take people's words to. I think that's you getting exactly what I wanted to get to, because I couldn't say it's one, because I got so many one like that will offset, because you don't know, nobody knows with any abuse. You don't know what that person been through. You have no clue what they've been through, and the things they say and might say in comment, you might see as one way. It doesn't make any sense to you, but it's not for you to make any sense to you, because you wasn't that person who suffered that. I have PTSD, and I can make a comment to somebody and it make absolutely no sense. And I've been on the other side where I said things and people say, "Why would you say that?" Because you don't know what I suffered. You don't know. Especially during COVID, I lived this during COVID. And I was dealing with death, and I would say things, and people say, "You just that? Why would you say something that doesn't make any sense?" Because they could never understood why I was suffering. That's why I love conversation, because we can have this conversation. Like you're making you're making the point. When people are talking and sharing something of that magnitude, keep your mouth shut and just pray for the person, because you, or whatever your belief system is, you don't know what they're processing, because you can't process it, because you can't suffer it. And it's just needs to be said. Quit. We have to stop with this. That we understand what somebody's saying just because you hear them talking. No, you don't understand it, because you haven't suffered it. And you don't know what you would do in that situation. You don't know how you would process it, and you don't know how you would deal with it. Period. Just leave it alone.
Well, I think the important thing to highlight here is what's triggering to you may not be triggering to someone else.
Right.
And being triggered isn't, oh my God, someone said something I don't like, so now I'm going to start screaming back. That's not what being triggered is. Being triggered it can often be a multi-day event where you dissociate from your body. You start having nightmares again.
Mm-hmm.
You forget how to do basic functions like shower and eat and drink water. So again, as an abuse survivor, when I watch this woman, I'm recognizing a pattern that I recognize in myself. And I just think she's under, I don't even know her.
Mm-hmm. She's
not even Black or Asian. Yet these signs seem pretty universal to me.
Yeah.
And I'm also not a therapist, and I'm not her therapist. I'm just saying that our propensity for, everyone is so offended by everything all the time. We got to dial that back sometimes, though.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be outraged to 10 on every single thing, because there are important things that we need to put that energy into. This woman, she already voted for Trump. What is re-victimizing her going to do? Is it going to change anything? Is she campaigning for him? I mean, she just literally told her story of being raped.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if she was. I mean, it's still change the story, right?
I'm just not understanding this. I also unfollowed someone who followed me for a long time, and his comment was, these women who came forward better start naming names, because a bunch of Venezuelans got killed in a boat, so it's their fault. Okay, see, this is what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to have conversations like that.
Oh, God.
It's so beneath my intelligence, and it's just stupid.
Yeah.
And that slaps of the misogyny, the global misogyny, because this person isn't even white. He's a male. He was in the military, and he's not white. I'm going to give you one guess what he is, but he's not white. And he got blocked.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that was shocking to me. It was shocking to me that he even wrote that.
Yeah.
And that basically was the motivation for me posting Lawrence's segment with a child rape, sex rape survivor of the felon. And then my own commentary that I'm not doing this. I'm not. It's those conversations by people who don't know, who haven't experienced, who are, I'm not going to do it. It's just like with children and being fed. I don't care what your political leaning is. I don't care, what you look like. Every child deserves to eat. Will I go out of my way to help all children in all schools? Probably not. Black people are 13% of the population. I have an obligation to help my people in need.
Yeah, you go through so much. That's why you go through so much on Blue Sky. I mean, you're my hero, Cheryl. You in a sense you get constantly attacked. I mean, daily attacked. Probably if you check it more, and you just stand up to it. And it's the theme of the women, how you stand up to it with bravery and courage. And the point I want to make is using you as the example. This is my perspective, and you may disagree with it. I don't know, but if you was a man doing what you do every day, or when you deal with it, you'll be the man. Because you're a woman, and you stand up to it, you get called this, you get called that, you stay in your place, the same old tropes. I guess my thing today is the woman tropes. It's all, when it comes to women, whether it's something, it's always a trope attached to it where they can't do this, or they shouldn't have said this, or they're speaking emotionally, or they out of control. They play the same old sexist, misogynistic, racist, sometimes all of them together tropes. And you stand up to it. And I think that's why the conversation is so deep today, is because that's not easy. What you said, this woman comes out, you come out on this level, you come out and share your story. You shared so much that my daughter is like, wow, she got courage. They honor and respect you. And that's what I'm going to say. That's my point on this. Why don't we respect women? Why does we always got to have this, perfect mentality, or they shouldn't do it because they were a man? Because if a man was doing exactly the same thing, it'd be different. I don't know, you might disagree with that, but that's how I see it. It's just different rules from the founders. It's just different rules. And you say not just America, that's a global thing. It's just different rules for women. Well, I applaud you for your courage. I applaud you for what you stand up for, and how you stand up to these bullies and these degenerates that you deal with on a daily basis. So just wanted to say that.
So medicine, it gets revived. The warrior line, soul tribe, assemblies vibe, it's friendly vibe.